The moment you lay eyes on the Tasco, you're not just looking at a car, you're looking at a question. A strange one. Something like, was this thing designed for the road, or did an aircraft engineer accidentally leave it behind? Because honestly, this car looks like nothing else from its era. In 1948, when most manufacturers were still figuring out how to look modern after the war, the Tasco showed up like it had already jumped 20 years ahead, borrowing a few ideas from a fighter plane along the way. It all starts with a man who absolutely knew what he was doing, Gordon Buehrig. Not some random dreamer, but the very same designer responsible for legends like the Cord 810 and the Auburn Speedster. So when he decided to build something new, people paid attention. The goal sounded simple enough on paper: create an American sports car capable of going toe-to-toe with European machines. What actually came out, though, was something far more experimental. The Tasco, short for the American Sports Car Company, wasn't just a car, it was a rolling vision of what the future could look like, even if the world wasn't quite ready for it yet. Beneath that wild, almost alien body was something surprisingly familiar. The car sat on a heavily modified 1947 Mercury chassis, reworked but still rooted in production hardware. And then there was the engine, a 239 cubic inch flathead V8, originally sourced from Mercury, and in some versions fitted with Arden heads that pushed output up to around 150 horsepower. Now, 150 horsepower doesn't sound like much today, but in 1948, inside a lightweight aerodynamic body, that was more than enough to make things exciting. Not race car insane, but definitely quick enough to make you feel like you were piloting something special. And with that cockpit-style interior, you probably felt exactly like a pilot. Power went to the rear wheels through a 3-speed manual transmission mounted on the steering column, completely standard for the era. The simplicity was saved for the drivetrain. The complexity was saved for everything else. Now, let's talk about how this car actually turns, because at first glance, you might genuinely wonder how the front wheels move at all, and that's a fair question. The answer is actually brilliant. The front wheels were partially covered by separate fiberglass fenders that rotated together with the wheels themselves. So instead of the wheels turning inside fixed arches like on any normal car, the entire fender sections moved along with them. It's one of those ideas that looks futuristic, works surprisingly well in practice, but also makes you wonder what happens the first time you hit mud, snow, or a rough patch of road. Safe to say it was better suited to smooth pavement than anything resembling a back road. The steering itself was mechanical and fairly direct for its time, but the experience wasn't purely about turning, it was about feeling. With that long hood stretching out ahead of you and those unusual wheel housings swooping as you steered, the whole driving experience must have felt completely unlike anything else on the road at the time. And then there's the design itself. This car didn't just borrow inspiration from aviation, it fully committed to the idea. The cockpit was enclosed like a canopy, visibility was wide and panoramic. The controls were laid out in a way that echoed an aircraft dashboard. Switches, levers, gauges, all carrying that aviation character. You weren't simply driving, you were operating something. And the roof? That's where things get truly historic. The Tasco became the first car in the world to feature a T-top roof, removable panels above the driver and passenger that could be lifted off to create an open-air experience. Decades before it became a defining feature on Corvettes, this strange experimental machine had already done it. Buehrig even patented the design in 1951, and when Chevrolet later adapted a similar concept and made it famous, he sued them. Just imagine inventing something well ahead of your time, then watching someone else take the glory years later. That's gotta sting. The body was constructed primarily from aluminum, with some fiberglass elements added into the mix. Another forward-thinking decision. Lightweight materials, an aerodynamic shape, and those enclosed wheel arches all pointed toward efficiency and performance. Even the rear of the car tapered like an aircraft fuselage, finished with a plexiglass section covering the taillights.
And yet, despite every bit of that innovation, the Tasco never made it to production. Only one was ever built. Why? Part of the answer is straightforward. Cost. The prototype reportedly ran the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of dollars in today's money. The other part is more complicated. The design was simply too far ahead, too unusual, too much of a risk. People in 1948 weren't ready to buy something that looked like it belonged inside a science fiction film. Even Buehrig himself later joked about it, calling the car his Edsel. Not exactly a glowing review. But here's the thing. Today, this car doesn't look like a failure. It looks like a vision, something bold, experimental, a little strange, but undeniably creative. The kind of car that makes you stop and stare, even if you're not entirely sure whether you love it or not. And maybe that's precisely the point, because cars like the Tasco were never built to move thousands of units. They were built to explore ideas, to push boundaries, to ask the question, what if we actually tried this? Sometimes those ideas don't land right away. Sometimes they come back decades later in a completely different form. So no, it wasn't a commercial success, but it didn't need to be, because in its own strange, slightly awkward airplane-inspired way, the Tasco quietly shaped the future. If you're into rare, experimental, and slightly what-were-they-thinking vehicles like this one, subscribe, because trust me, this isn't even close to the weirdest thing out there.